Before the 2020 war, the Armenian population of Nagorno-Karabakh was about 147,000. Today, it is estimated to be down to lower than 120,000. Forced displacement can be a tactic used to achieve ethnic cleansing. First, a group of activists blocked civilian and commercial traffic on the corridor, leaving thousands of Armenians without access to essential goods, including food and medicines. The Azeri government denied that the activists had its backing, but the International Court of Justice didn't buy that when this February it ordered Azerbaijan to take all measures at its disposal to ensure unimpeded movement of persons, vehicles, and cargo along the Lakin corridor in both directions. Then in April, Azerbaijan established an official border checkpoint that means local Armenian residents cannot transit to and from Nagorno-Karabakh.
Ambassador Brownback, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman, I think just really get right to the heart of it. You've got 120,000 Christians that are being strangled, blockaded. It's being backed by Erdogan, who is the probably the leading Islamist person in the world that's pushing militant Islam of any government leader in the world is President Erdogan. He just got reelected on top of that. And he's got this pan-Turkic idea of a corridor, and the one kind of sliver of land that stands between him and this pan-Turkic corridor is Armenia. There were 3 incursions into Armenia proper the week we were there on the fact-finding trip. This isn't just Nagorno-Karabakh, this is into Armenia proper. And we were at Jermuk, which is a kind of a resort town in one part of Armenia, and you could see the Azeri forces on the other hill from where we were, and the ability for them to just lob artillery into that town at any time is right there. It really reminded me of Sarajevo in the situation there where you had the troops that just surrounded the hills and could just fire in and killed huge numbers of people. On top of this, people say, well, it's not about religion, and I agree it's not a religious conflict, but religion is there, and it's a key piece of it. It'd be hard to believe that this would happen to Nagorno-Karabakh if it was a Muslim population. It's a Christian population, and that's where, to me, I come in standing up for religious freedom and for religious minorities.
President Aliyev has changed and grown more erratic over the last decade. I'd say his trajectory is almost analogous to what we saw with Saddam Hussein. And we've already heard President Aliyev saying, well, Yerevan is part of historical Azerbaijan. We need to nip this in the bud. We can't simply assume that this is a rhetorical excess, the way, unfortunately, we did with Saddam Hussein in 1990 before his push into Kuwait. Cultural heritage also matters, and I'm sure David Phillips, my good friend, is going to talk about this, but before we impose a peace, we should at the very least have a 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week video monitoring. We shouldn't just verify, we shouldn't just trust. We need to verify as well in real time. We should focus on incitement. There's going to be no lasting peace if Azerbaijan still incites from school-age kids and in the military against Armenians. The State Department should issue, and Congress should require through an act, an annual report on the state of Azerbaijani incitement.
Are grateful to President Biden for annually recognizing the Armenian genocide in his Remembrance Day statement. Most of you are familiar with the Turkish-Armenia Reconciliation Commission, which I chaired from 2001 to 2004. The TARC reaffirmed the applicability of the term genocide to characterize the World War I era treatment of Armenians. What we see today is a second Armenian genocide, which is underway. And the United States is simply not doing what it can do to stop this pattern, despite ample evidence of credible human rights organizations.
I've chaired 3 hearings on the Armenian genocide. And before the first one, I went and read Ambassador Morgenthau's book, which was written contemporaneously with the horrific genocide that was committed. And To think that, as you have pointed out, this is, we're in the midst of the second Armenian genocide.
I was in Yerevan in 2004 to 2006. I never dealt directly with the issue of Nagorno-Karabakh. That was being handled by the Minsk group, of course. But nonetheless, I did learn a lot about what was going on. And I learned a fair amount about Armenian history, which, by the way, is quite fascinating once you get into it. One of the earliest histories recounts that after losing an important battle to the Persians, the Armenians, quote, fled into the forests of Artsakh. That's one of the earliest references to Artsakh and to Armenians being there. Second point, a well-known, well-respected German visitor to the Caucasus in the 1840s reported that the Armenians are, quote, most numerous in the province of Karabakh after Armenian proper, end quote. It's been stated here today that the second genocide has already begun. That may be questionable, but I think there is a real danger of it, and it's not only in view of the 1915 precedent, but it's also, as David has said, it's in view of the recorded actions and speech of Azerbaijani officials